You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion of the world.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Greetings, everyone. This is Mr. Green, and you are listening to the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling here on the WPN, or presented by the WPN, Women's Pro Wrestling Network. And this may be, the third or fourth time around for some news as it relates to our contemporary on the West Coast. Wow. Women of Wrestling. A lot of people, since we've begun doing this stuff with their subject matter, talking about their promotion, when it's going to come back, and all that good stuff like that. One of those original posts that we had on this very channel was thrown off because the original statement that they released is that it was coming back sometime earlier in 2015 around WrestleMania season, which ultimately turned out to be incorrect. But I am going to report now that they are, or at least they've said that they are coming back again, fully digital, as I did state the first go-round. So they will not be on a traditional terrestrial broadcast. It's going to be fully digital, much like a lot of TV shows now, so that's no big deal. And it will be completely airing on their website, WOWE.com. The season 2 is slated to get underway in December. And as I'm recording this right now, it is November 29th. So you're a couple of days away. Now, there was no dates in December that was released with that, and no particular time. It was just in December, and it's on to be on the website. Now, I want to make something clear about this. There was no official release that I saw in terms of them making this jump of we're going to release season 2 on our website. This all basically came as response to fans that they had. Because, I've said before on a number of occasions, you had fans that basically always ask the same question. When's it coming out? Where is it? When's it coming out? When's it coming out? When's it coming out? And previous to this, there had been no response. It just more or less has been ignored. But, every once in a while, you would get a response that kind of piqued interest. And that's basically what happened here. It was a response that piqued interest, and I will say that the last person that asked that I saw and read, James Rosato, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, simply asked, "Time and channel, please." That was his one and only statement, and he got a response from WOW basically saying, "We're digital right now. Season 2 gets underway in December, and will air on WOWE.com. So there you have it. They are due to come back and present new stuff. That being said, I think we can all go out on a limb right now and say that it is do or die for WOW right now. This is do or die. For what are we? We're rolling into 2016. I think the first announcements of WOW comeback began in late 2012. Yeah, about 3 years, roughly, of announcing and pushing back, announcing and postponing, announcing and setting off. And, things happen. I understand that, and I'm sure most people that have had some level of production underneath them to whatever degree understands that sometimes the production doesn't go the way you want it to, or the release doesn't go the way you want it to, the distribution doesn't go the way you want it to. Sometimes things just go off track. So I get it. I understand. But, the hard part is that the fans may have a hard time understanding that because it kept getting put in their face. In some way, shape, or form, it kept coming back, and it kept being told to them, hey, we're here. It's coming. It's around the corner. Just stay tuned. Is there. Just hold tight. It kept coming back to that. And then you would get pictures released. You got small videos, and then you got their website repackaged. Then you got a brand new Facebook, and you got a new Twitter, and it was almost everything under the sun to try to keep WoW kind of rolling and going forward. Repackaging old shows that took place in 2000. I hadn't even thought about it, but close to some 15 years ago. And not that stuff wasn't bad. It was nice to see it again, and I'm sure it refamiliarized a lot of fans with the product. I'm sure it introduced some new fans to the product. But the constant of hold on, we're getting to it. Hold on, just we're making it right. I know a lot of people had voiced issues with that to me. I don't know how often WoW actually heard it. I can only imagine that they had to have heard it a great length of times. I mean, I don't work for WoW, and I heard it. I have no official ties to that company, and I heard it quite a bit. I read it quite a bit. It came across me on some level or another more often than not. And probably because I'm one of the outlets that has covered this fairly regularly. But now they're coming on to do it, and now they got season 2. They're saying it's going to release in December, which for me, as I'm doing this right now, it's 2 days away. As you're listening to this, probably already December. So the question, hopefully they may have something on their site ready for you to watch right now. Who knows? It would be great if that was the case instead of clips and things like that. Now, the only other thing that I have following that is where do you go from there? It's one thing to have your show and present that and be ready to deliver the goods for stuff that's been taped 3 years ago, but where do you go from there? What happens next? A lot of those people that were in WoW or on WoW the second season have more or less had to move on because, life happens and you've got to do other things, whether that was going back to school, to pursue other stuff, moving back, to the East Coast, which might present a problem logistically, depending on your budget. Taking other acting gigs, going back into stunt work. I know some of them were doing stunts and things like that. I don't know how that will affect WoW moving forward if they decide for a season 3. A lot of the girls that were on the professional wrestling end of it, not the actresses and models and things like that, but a lot of the girls that were on the pro wrestling end of it have moved on into other outlets, and I'm not sure how that will affect them as they proceed. Abilene Maverick, who we all know as Barbie Hayden, former NWA Women's World Champion, has made effort to move to Florida so she could pursue her dream of getting hooked on with the WWE. So, who knows if she'll be able to make it into NXT doing that. She's no longer in Texas. Amber O'Neal I think her and her husband have begun Wrestle America, which takes place in Barnesville, Georgia. And so she's got stake in that. I don't know how that will affect her as it relates to future Wild tapings. I would imagine that she would be able to go if she really had to, because still kind of independent, and as long as the dates don't conflict, I don't see where there would be a problem. Santana Garrett, a lot of us that follow women's wrestling, you got to know that she has been on a huge roll lately. She's Shine champion, current NWA Women's World Champion. I think she just won a championship in Japan. I can't remember the actual title, but I want to say it's the Wonder Star Championship in Japan. She's got a lot of obligations to various promotions. So you have to kind of wonder where that would leave her. And then there's others. I would imagine Jessie Belle Smothers, who they refer to as Jessie Jones on WoW. I would imagine that she wouldn't really have an issue getting out there. She works a lot. She works a lot up and down the East Coast. She's done Valkyrie at the Shine. I want to say she's. I can't remember. I don't think Shimmer, but I know definitely OVW. She's the OVW Women's Champion right now. So though things like that, I think might present some level of issue. Just trying to get out. Candice LeRae. She's another one. A lot of these girls have pushed on and kind of really made a name for themselves in the independent wrestling world. So, I'm interested to see how that will go if they have to go forth with a third season. To say nothing of the fact that season 2 is 3 years old, and a lot of that storyline that has gone on there, how evergreen is it? Everybody's read the spoilers. I mean, the original WoW Facebook page itself showed you that Jungle Girl, and I'm not giving anything away. I mean, now if you're just hearing this thing, you may want to skip around. This may be perceived as a spoiler to some people, but the original WoW Facebook page did show that the championship changed hands. And that's kind of old news, but officially it hasn't taken place because it never aired. And I had that interview already. If you listen to the Jungle Girl interview or the Lana Star interview, we talked about it on both of those. So, regardless of the fact that there was a championship and then the championship changed hands, that championship officially hasn't changed hands because it never aired to the public. Much the same way that they did back in the old school pro wrestling days. If it didn't take place on TV, it didn't take place. But I have to wonder, how that will come across. What's that going to do for the product? And finally, as it relates to WoW, the entire world of women's wrestling has really, really, really changed. It is not the same game that it was in 2000, and I don't say that to be a bad thing, but it's just it's just a fact. When WoW originally released in 2000, there was no women's wrestling by and large that most people could access. The only women's wrestling that existed on a national scale previous to that was, of course, Glow and LPWA and syndicated market. Well, both of them did syndicated markets. And I think, I want to say POW, although I never got to see POW. I think it did run in syndicated markets. So you had those companies. So those were the examples of what women's wrestling were before 2000. But again, it was still a very loose-knit example of what women's wrestling was. And, when the WWE started to represent, redo women's wrestling, it was kind of built around Sable at the time. It took a little while for them to get some steam underneath them, but it was just a division. It was the division that was underneath, the guys, as it always has been. Today, that's changed. Today, women's wrestling is a much bigger entity. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. There are so many showcases of what strong matches are concerned. And then to say nothing of the fact that you have NXT that is really kind of brought into the forefront to a lot of wrestling fans when you got a outstanding match that took place at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Bayley and Sasha Banks, which was, to this day, I'll say, if you haven't seen that match, you need to go and check it out. It is incredible. The Iron Woman match, which I thought they told a great story, wasn't as good as the TakeOver match in terms of just excitement and the level of tension that was going on in the air and all that stuff like that. But it told a great story in that 30 minutes. And all of that to say is that you've got those type of matches all the time now. You got those matches everywhere. Shine, Shimmer, Valkyrie, All Girls. You got women's wrestling up in Canada. I can't think of the name. Our channel features a lot of it. And you have got to have a really strong roster that is coming in to deliver the goods at this point, I think, to maintain your audience. Just going with it off of people that, no offense to any talent that takes place that doesn't wrestle on a regular basis or doesn't understand the ring psychology or how to work the crowd or anything like that, that could work against you because, wrestling fans today are fickle. It is so much content out here that they can pick and choose from. And that it makes it very easy for you to tune out, especially if you got a Roku device or any sort of streaming media. You got the Indie Wrestling Channel, which shows wrestling from across the country, every place you can think of. Now, the one constant that WOW has over every other wrestling promotion, save a Ring of Honor or Impact Wrestling or WWE, is that their production is top notch. And their production is easily going to be better than any indie promotion that is going to be looked at as their colleagues. Their promotion is going to be better than Shine. Their production is going to be better than Shine. Their production is going to be better than Shimmer. It's going to be better than WSU or Valkyrie or any number of other places that showcase women's wrestling, which is primarily on the indies. They do a much better job of producing that show. They got proper lighting. They got a bigger area. They got a proper stage. They got pyro. They got music that's custom made. They got all of that stuff. They have all the things that would make a wrestling promotion proud and make your stars come off like stars. But when it comes to the in-ring work, I can only really think of, maybe 5 girls on that roster that could really carry the matches the way that they would need to carry the matches. Erica Porter's trained. She probably could do a good job. Keita Rush is a MMA fighter, so I know that she's not afraid of the physicality. And I expect good things from her once she seems like she's really into the wrestling. So those two, those two, I think I have an aptitude for it. Lana Starr, I think she has aptitude for it as well. The only downside is that they're basically working a national product under the gun of developing who they are inside of the ring. That's the downslide. As good as they are, and as ambitious as they are, and the aptitude that they show, they still would not be able to compare to people that are out there wrestling week in and week out, and they have to kind of work up that grind. So that leaves it up to the girls that know what they're doing and have trained for this over and over and over again to kind of carry that load. The Santana Garretts, the Amber O'Neills, the Abilene Mavericks, or Barbie Haters, whichever one you want to call it, Jessie Belle Smothers. No, they pretty much got to carry the weight of the in-ring work. Spike, who's known as Hudson Envy, and she's wrestled a lot in Japan recently. I'm not even sure if she's still in the States right now. But those are the ones that you're going to have to look for to lean on and carry that work. But all of that to say that the industry's changed, the market's changed. I hope that everybody on the WOW roster can pull it up, carry the company on their back, and really make something great happen, because, it would be fantastic to see another women's promotion that pops up and does well and gives these girls a place to go and a place to work and earn money and live their dreams. That's always a great place, always a great thing to have. And I hope that they can do it. But you got to know that they're going to have to really, really work hard. They're going to have to really get in there and push if they're going to compete with people the likes of a Bayley or the likes of an Athena or the likes of a Devin Nicole or Kiera Hogan or Dimension Rose or Kimberly or Cherry Bomb or any number of those girls that you see that's out there all the time. Well, that's it, folks. Hopefully by the time this goes up and by the time you hear it, there will be matches out there. Maybe we can take a look at it and we can do a review on it, see how good that show really is. We waited a long time for it, so I hope it's a killer. All right, that's it. You have been listening to the Rights and Wrongs Pro Wrestling with Mr. Green. Be sure to stop by the rest of the channel on our Facebook page for, our updates. We just opened up a store, planning on getting some stuff in there, some T-shirts and whatnot. Stay tuned for that. If you're not on the Facebook page, please go by and like it. Stop by the WPNWrestling.com, which is our website, WPNWrestling.com. Go by there, and we're working on getting the store connected there as well. If you are on our YouTube channel, because sometimes these podcasts push out elsewhere, but if you're on the YouTube channel and you haven't subscribed, please do. We got matches and interviews and podcasts that go up all the time. I think we're working on some new interviews as I speak. And, of course, new matches. And if you haven't seen some of the old matches, you need to scroll down there and take a look at some. Get yourself familiar with Dimension Rose. Watch Dimension Rose versus Mickey Knuckles. Get yourself familiar with Devin Nicole. You can see her versus Jordan Grace. Or Pandora versus Amber O'Neal. Or the Roar 4 War with Kiera Hogan, the Priscilla Kelly, Ashton Starr, Dimension Rose, all vying for a win, all at the same time. So it's got a lot of stuff in here that you can check out, a lot of great matches that you can look through, all of it for free. I mean, you really can't beat that. We haven't even begun charging you guys. We haven't charged you one penny for any of this stuff. All we ask right now is for your support. If you're supporting this, we really appreciate it. So like and follow us on whatever venue you may find it. And we always appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Okay, that's it. We will catch you next time, and hopefully we will talk right after we see first episode of WOW Season 2. Take care, guys.